Welcome, YouTube chess fans, to my brand new series, Healthy Chess Diet. I'm International Master Zurability, and the concept for this series is to do the chess rating climb, so-called speedrun series, where we will be starting from 400 chess rating and try to push as high as we can go. Along the way, I'll be using a mix of chessable opening courses, some of them which I'll show right here, but these are not limited to these openings only. I may very well expand this list or change it. And I'll also be using my own analysis to recommend openings that fit the theme, healthy chess repertoires. The goal is to keep things simple and effective. We'll mainly focus on 3 openings: playing 1 e4, king's pawn, best by test with white, and with black prioritizing a solid principled approach to the center, which is we're balancing center with the king's pawn. If they play e4, we play e5. If they play d4, queen's pawn, we balance it with d5, queen's pawn back. Throughout the journey, we'll stick to 3 golden principles of the opening: fight for the center, develop your pieces actively, preferably towards the center, and secure the king. Most often, this means castling. So, whether you're just starting out or looking to refine your fundamentals, I hope you find this series instructive and fun. Let's jump in and start building a healthy chess diet. A side note, knowing what are some of the healthy openings does not mean that we cannot learn other openings after we got our fundamentals in place. That is what makes chess fun and infinite, I would say, learning new things and learning different openings. So I just want to start with solid fundamentals, and feel free to add new weapons to your arsenal. All right, let's get to it. All right, game 1, let's go. 400 against Camaleon. Let's go e4. My opponent plays Scandinavian. Usually, I would suggest not bringing queen out this early. The reason for it is it's going to get attacked, and then it has to move back. Once it moves back, now we could go d4, take control of more of the center, with the following idea of developing pieces and taking control of the center. Knight goes to f6. Now let's bring the bishop out first. We could also have started with the knight out. Okay, he immediately attacks the center with e5. Oh wow. He probably thinks that if I take on e5, he could take on d1 and make me lose castle, but I can just take with the pawn, and when queen takes my queen, I'll take back with the knight. Okay, knight back to d7. He refused the trade. I guess now we could play e6. If captures, then bishop takes e6. But I think simply developing our knight and getting ready for the castle is also good enough. f6. As Ben Feingold likes to say, touching the f pawn early can be very dangerous because it usually opens the king up. Okay, so we could now push the pawn with e6, and we could also take on f6. I think for the speedrun purposes here, I may want to take on f6. And the reason for that is after knight takes f6, we may have a typical trick. Bishop f7. Does it work completely? Well, it may not actually, because if king goes to e7, then opponent will want to trade queens and also attack my bishop on f7. Okay, but at 400 level, I would want to test if he is going to capture back. And in general, this is a very standard tactical idea in the openings when they weaken this diagonal, h5, e8 diagonal. So let's see if they fall for the trick. Well, that was kind of expected. King e7 would keep protecting the queen, but if king takes f7, king takes bishop, then we take the queen. And just like that, in 10 moves, we are up a queen. On top of being down a queen here, black king is exposed. So we will want to play knight e5 or knight g5 going into the 4. Okay, knight to c6. Let's go knight g5 check. All right, after king g6, how do we want to handle here? We could go queen d3, but bishop f5 is blocking it. So I think it would be best if we simply take on c7 with the threat of queen f7 check and pushing the king forward. Farther towards the center we are able to push the king, easier it is going to be checkmate, obviously. We want to checkmate the king. I'm not sure what this knight a5 does. If we go queen f7, immediately king is gonna run away to f5. So I'm trying to think, once it goes to f5, then how we want to checkmate it. So maybe we set it up with f3, then to threaten g4. I think that's what I'm gonna do. Let's force it to f5. Okay, now how do we checkmate the king? We can go knight back. We can try f3. I think I'm gonna try f3, threatening g4 check. Okay. He's going back. Now what? Let's chase the king. Let's chase the king. King is gonna run away to e5. That is the only move. I think then I'm gonna go check here. Usually if you are able to bring out the opponent's king in the center when there are a lot of pieces on the board, there's a very high chance of it getting in trouble. So that's what we are doing right now. Bishop blocks it. Now we want to consider all the checks. Knight f7 would be a one check and also attack the knight, but then king would run away from the center. So since I want to keep this king in the center, I'm gonna poke that king with the pawn. Bishop is unprotected, so we can take that. What are the checks here? We could do queen d3, we could set it up with bishop e3, or I think the one that I see, the checkmate here immediately, is pawn to b3, and when king takes our knight, then we go queen to d2 checkmate. Okay, that king went on a quest and ended up getting mated on c3. That's what I meant earlier. If we are able to bring the king out early in the center, there is a very big chance of it getting in trouble.